afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to the second session of our our ADR University Conference, Future Proofing ADR Career Skills Every Young Practitioner Must Have. So, before we begin, I'd like to give the floor to our session coordinator, Miss Messi, to do the introductions.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Anora. Please, can I be heard? Am I audible?
Yes, you can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, welcome everyone to the second session of day two of this conference. And I congratulate you for being here because if you're still here, it means that you're intentional about your professional growth, particularly in this ADR space. I am your session coordinator. My name is Mercy Sado, and the theme for this session is Future Proofing ADR Career Skills Every Young Professional Must Have. As we all know, the ADR profession continues to evolve in response to changing business realities, emerging technologies, and shifting client expectations. Hence, beyond your legal knowledge, successful practitioners require a combination of technical, commercial, interpersonal, and leadership skills. So, this session will demystify the competencies that will remain relevant in the future and how young practitioners like you and I can intentionally develop them to build resilient and rewarding careers. And so, moving on, we have a panel, a distinguished panel with highly esteemed speakers. And I'll go ahead to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker is in the person of Miss Efosa O. Oweri, FCI. Ms. Efosa is a multidisciplinary legal practitioner with 2 decades of experience, whose practice sits at the intersection of dispute resolution, corporate governance, insolvency, and business structuring. She is the managing partner of Gravida Attorneys, where she leads the firm's civil and commercial practice, overseeing complex litigation, arbitration, mediation, corporate governance advisory, insolvency, intellectual property, real estate transactions, employment matters, probate, and structured debt recovery. Mr. Foster is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK Nigerian branch, a fellow of the Institute of Construction Industry Arbitrators, a member of the London Court of International Arbitration, a professional negotiators and mediators PNM and global mediator solution. She has made significant representation as an arbitrator annually at the William C. Viss Moot, which we all know, on International Commercial Arbitration Moot. And she is listed on the panel of neutrals of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and Lagos Court of Arbitration Joint Expedited MSME scheme. She has dutifully served as the past chair, Chartered Institute of Arbitrators UK Nigerian branch, Young Members Group, and the immediate past chair of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter. She has also been recognized by various bodies, including recognition as one of the Women in Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR, by the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, United Kingdom, National ADR Society, and the Court Mail 100 SHID 2023, amongst several others. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our first speaker. Moving on to our second speaker, we have Ms. Jolade Aderonke Falade, MCIR. Ms. Jolade is a Nigerian legal practitioner with nearly a decade of experience in litigation, corporate practice, and alternative dispute resolution. She has earned her Bachelor of Laws and Masters of Laws from the University of Ibadan in 2015 and 2021, respectively. An active member of the Nigerian Bar Association, she recently served with distinction as the Social Secretary of the NBA Ibadan branch. Ms. Jolade is dedicated to bridging the gap between traditional litigation and alternative dispute resolution. As a member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, an associate of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, and an associate of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, she has brought a multidisciplinary practice that integrates corporate governance, taxation, and arbitration, offering a comprehensive perspective on conflict management. Her practice is defined by an unwavering commitment to fostering legal excellence through professional, ethical, and strategic advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our second speaker. On to our third speaker, Onomajuru Anayochukwu Albanos. Anayochukwu is a driven and solution-oriented 400-level law student at the Imo State University, Owerri. He has a specialized focus on alternative dispute resolution, complemented by active interest in intellectual property and technology law. A formidable advocate, Anayochukwu has distinguished himself at both the local and national levels. Within the Students' Bar of Law Students Association, LAWSA, IMSU chapter, he has attained the prestigious rank of Senior Advocate of LAWSA. Furthermore, Anayochukwu has earned himself the title of Senior Advocate of National Lausanne, SANL, at the National Students' Bar of Lausanne. Beyond his achievements in advocacy, Anayochukwu is a dedicated student leader. He serves as the court representative of the 400 level class of the Faculty of Law, Imo State University, where he manages administrative relationship and fosters consensus among his peers. Anayochukwu brings a blend of academic rigor, practical leadership, and a passion for constructive dialogue to his legal endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, again, join me in welcoming our third speaker and to our esteemed moderator, Efemini Anora. Anora is a 400 level student at the Rivers State University with a growing passion for alternative dispute resolution, advocacy, legal advocacy, and student leadership. She is currently the vice president of the Rivers State ADR Society, having been an active member in the society since her first year, during which she consistently participated in ADR seminars, webinars, conferences, and other professional development initiatives. She also serves as the head of chambers of Nabo Graham Douglas Chambers, Rivers State University, where she provides leadership in advocacy, legal research, and the professional development of aspiring advocates. In addition, she volunteers as a researcher with the Nigerian Arbitration Blog, contributing to arbitration research and legal scholarship. Anora is committed to promoting effective dispute resolution, leadership experience, and the continuous development of young legal professionals. And once more, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our dear moderator. And so I would advise each and every one of us to take notes, take a pen, a paper, take notes on your laptop, wherever you can, and please note your questions. By the end of this session, we'll have a Q&A session. And with that, I'll hand over to our moderator. Over to you, Anora.
Thank you so much, Messi. So we'll begin our session in full by my first question going to Miss Efosa O Ewe, FCIR. Ma, can you hear me?
Very well, thank you. I can hear you.
Okay, my first question is, as a managing partner of Gravida Attorneys and a fellow of SIAB, you've built a career that spans corporate governance, commercial litigation, and dispute resolution. What is that one skill you wish you had intentionally developed earlier in your career? And what advice would you give young practitioners who are still figuring out where to specialize?
Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone can hear me. Can
Yes, ma'am,
everyone hear me? Okay, yeah, that's fine. So thank you very much for bringing me to speak on this topic, very interesting topic. And to your question, I see it as a two-in-one question. And I would go by first with the first part of the question that has to do with the skill. And when we're talking about skill, there's a hard skill and there's a soft skill. The hard skill has a lot to do with your certification, that's your technical knowledge. What certifications do you have? But for the soft skill, it has to do with a bit of your behavior, your personality, and what those skills that may not be seen. So if in trying to answer that question, I cannot take one over the other because both of them would have to complement each other. So the first part of it is that one skill. I can't give just one skill, but I could say that you must complement both your hard and soft skill because you could have all the certifications in the world, and if your soft skill is absent, it may not take you anywhere. It may not take you into that room. Maybe the knowledge, oh, this person has this certification or this person has this qualification, may give you maybe some form of recognition to say, oh, this person is knowledgeable in this area or has a certification in this area. But I want to believe that as practitioners, it doesn't end there. You want a situation where there's good value for whatever you've learned. There's good value for whatever you have decided to take on for as a technical knowledge. So first, yes, you sit in an exam, you pass the exam, you get certified. That's hard skill. The soft skill is the ones that people may not easily see. You get into a room. How do you manage yourself? How do you manage tension? How do you get people to listen to you? How do you get your clients to believe in you? How do you get your mentors to also trust you? So all of those things are soft skills that I think that sometimes we underrate, and we should, at every point in time, take really seriously. So the other part of your question, which has to do with specialization, is somewhere that for some of us, we beat ourselves so hard, and we get into one of these webinars, events, conferences, and the next thing is they keep telling you, oh, specialize, specialize, specialize. If you ask me, I would say, don't be in a hurry. Yes, there are some early bloomers. There are some people that already know what they want from even their mother's womb. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about those who till now are not sure. I would say, do not beat yourself. Don't beat yourself hard at all. There is nothing wrong with you. It doesn't make you less dull. It doesn't, and less intelligent. It doesn't make you a dull person. It only tells you that you are finding yourself, and there's nothing wrong in finding yourself. As a practitioner, you must expose yourself to several areas of practice. Yes, there are some people that would say, oh, there's nothing that will make me touch litigation. There's nothing that will make me touch dispute resolution. There's nothing that will make me touch commercial practice. There's nothing that will make me touch law. In fact, I read this law because of my parents. Once I am done, I'm dropping it. Yes, there are categories of those people. But if you are in that category where you feel pressured that you don't know what area to specialize, please, if there's nothing you take away from this conversation today, take away the fact that you do not need to be under pressure. It will take you about 3 to 5 years to really begin to understand where you want to be in terms of specialization, particularly if you're working in one of those firms where they have a general practice. Even with the ones that don't have general practice, when they expose you to a certain area, you may keep telling yourself that I don't belong here, I don't like this place, or you may just begin to enjoy that exposure and maybe never even averted your mind to it from when you were in the university. So how do you understand or now know that you should specialize in certain areas? You begin to ask yourself, if I'm not being assigned a role, where do I gravitate towards? What areas of law do I gravitate towards? And the worst thing we can ever do to ourselves as practitioners or young practitioners is to admire, would I say Ms. Jolade and say, oh, she's doing very well. She's driving a Range Rover. She's doing tax, and you want to jump in there because you're seeing her driving the Range Rover and she's doing tax. But you forget that there may be those soft skills that she's applying that may be different from your personality that is making her blossom in those areas. So you must first know thyself and expose yourself as much as you can your first 3 years, 5 years to any area of law, several areas of law as they come in. With time, that consciousness will begin to build, and you will be very conscious of where you want to specialize. I early in my practice, I had a lot of friends that immediately we got out of school, they were just running and say, okay, Admiralty law was vogue then. It's not like now that we're having the AI and the digital, space evolving. But we had then, oh, who are those making money? Oil and gas. Who are those making money? Those in maritime. And people would, some of my colleagues would have left the shores areas. And by the time they are back, even the firms that practice this law will not take you. it will begin to, sometimes you see the frustration and the complaints, and they find themselves, gravitating towards other areas. So you just find that somebody even did, maybe admiralty law, or specialized in an area, maybe from the master's program, and you come back and you are put in maybe telecommunication, something very different. So for some people, it's, mentally it began to wear on them that, oh, maybe they didn't take the right decision. It's not for me to say whether they took the right decision or not, but it's for me to advise you today that don't get carried away with some of the things we see other people do. There's nothing wrong if you have not made up your mind on the area of specialization. I would always say expose yourself enough to form that opinion on where you want to be in the area of practice. Can everyone hear me?
You're breaking a little.
Mercy, couldn't hear me. Did I lose everyone there?
Yes.
Yes, a little, ma, but we
Yes.
can hear you
I think
now.
Okay, what
we can hear
part
you
did
now.
I? Okay, what part did I lose?
You last statement we heard was exposing yourself to all areas of law, and then lost you.
Yes, yes. Just to reiterate, it's important we expose ourselves to all areas of law and not get carried away with what the next person is doing. We shouldn't be under pressure on specializing just yet, unless we are very convinced in our with ourselves that this is the way we choose to go.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma, for that insightful reply. What I took from it was don't pick a field just because of the lifestyle of those practicing in the area, and also ensure that you grow up or invest in your hard skills as same as your soft skills. So thank you so much, Ma. Our next question will be to Mrs. Jolade Falade. Ma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Okay. My first question to you is, you've transitioned from being a young member of CIAB to becoming a partner at Comfort and Jane's Solicitors, while still remaining active in the Young Members Group. How did your involvement with the YMG contribute to your career progression? And what would you say to young practitioners about the value of professional associations?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me thank the CIAB and YMG for the opportunity to be on this panel. I'm actually very happy to be on this panel with Miss Efosa, because she's one of the people that I actually look forward to my professional journey. So it's really a pleasure, ma'am. So to your question, which is in two bounds. So my activities with the YMG, I would say, took me out of my comfort zone. I remember the first SHARP conference that was in Ibadan, because I'm based in Ibadan. So I attended the 2021 conference. That was the first time I actually met Mr. Fosa to show the YMG chair then. So when I saw her, she was the YMG chair. I was like, oh, a female in a lead position. So it just made me understand that the things I have inside me that I want to achieve, they are not unachievable. So it also made me to say, that was when I actually decided to, because I joined as a non-member. I attended the conference as a non-member. So it also gave me the opportunity to say, okay, I want to be a member of the YMB. So I had my associate exam that same year. So to say it brought me out of my comfort zone, because sometimes you will just be somewhere just fresh out of law school or fresh out of service, you don't know what you're doing, and then you don't really have or see people around you to say, let me say, to take a lead. So joining the YMG, volunteering, because it's not about just joining the association. Let me first say that. Because you can be in an association, you have the title. Definitely they'll call you ACIAB, MCIAB or whatever, but you also need to put your face in everybody's faces. Let me put it that way. Because if you just have the title, it's just going to be by your name. Maybe you introduce yourself, I am this ACIAB, I am this MCIAB. But visibility starts from when you actually start putting in the work. You meet people, you volunteer. I remember the first time I met Mrs. and she's the YMD chair now, Mrs. Fada, obviously Fada Wansi. It was just, you want to introduce yourself. Okay, I have interest in this. If you have any opportunity that comes up, I can be a volunteer. I can do this. I can do that. Even, you know when you're saying, I can do this, I can do that, it's not as if you are 100% sure that you can actually do it, but you're putting yourself to learn. So once you put yourself in that volunteering position, it makes you learn. I see professional associations as a risk-free training ground. Because you know, there's a different thing if you take up a job or a role that you're expected to perform well, and then you get there without any form of experience. It's going to be a little bit catastrophic, if I put it that way. But once you join a professional association, you're going to see, you meet seniors, you meet even colleagues alike that they probably have more experience than you in the field. So by the time you join the association, you learn. It's okay, how do I want to go about this? How do I do this? Is how I do it. This is how to go about it. It's also, it gives you a risk-free. I put the word risk-free because at that time when you're still learning, you are not really you are not in a position to cause enough risk to the association per se or to whatever role you're given. So that is a training ground. It makes you train. And then it also gives you the ability to network. Networking is a currency. I call it a currency because most times, you know, when we come out, maybe fresh out of law school, our brain is like, oh, I want to work, I want to make money. And somebody says, they'll come and do this, it's not going to bring money. Be like, please, I'm not interested in that. I just want to make money. But the truth is, networking is a currency. Because by the time you put yourself out there to network, you meet seniors, you meet people, so that when the opportunities come for you to actually earn the hard currency, that is when you'll be remembered. So like I said before, it gives visibility. You put your face in people's faces, you meet people, you've heard their names. Oh, this is this person. Let me this is how you go to conferences, introduce yourselves, you join webinars, join trainings, things like that. I also mentioned volunteering before, and let me just give a little backstory on why I'm always keen on volunteering. I'm based in Ibadan, and I remember the first time I joined the brand activities in Ibadan. There was a program, can't remember which program it was. Then I saw a senior. It was arranging chairs, you know, and we were the young ones were just at the back, gisting. Was myself and my friend were together. So we're like, let's move closer to this person and let's see if we can help. So move closer and said, sir, can we help? In what way can we help? And that was it. It was a bit taken aback, like a young one actually offering service. Like, what can I do? But from there, that was how my networking started. That was how even my professional journey started. Because at that young age, in 2021, I was about 3 years at the bar. The office I was in, my boss traveled, I had to travel out. I was acting as the head of chambers. I was so young that I really didn't know much. But you know, these people that I had already met, that they are already serving as my mentors, I was able, when I had cases that there was no way I could be calling my boss, all I had to do was just approach them. Sir, I have this problem. How can you help? So even from there, I learned in practice, and I'm talking about litigation here now. So what I would just advise young professionals coming out or fresh, especially those of you that are here, is that do not take networking or volunteering as a joke. It really helps a lot. I can say for free that myself and some of my colleagues, it is by volunteering, putting yourself out there, that you become visible. If you're not visible, it's just like a cloak. You're seated, that cloak is still covering you. Nobody is going to know it. No, you know, it's actually interesting that you remember faces more than you remember names. It's until but you know a particular face that you can actually start attaching the name to the face. So that is where visibility comes in. So you can only be visible when you volunteer and you network. So I went there for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. You've really explained the value of networking. As Mrs. Jolade has said, networking is a currency. It's a soft currency, and you'll be remembered when it is time to make the hard currency. Thank you so much, Ma. So please, our next question will be going to Mr. Anayochuko. Mr. Anayochuko, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much. So my question to you is, as a law student already engaging with the ADR community at this level, what specific skills or experiences are you deliberately pursuing right now to prepare for a career in dispute resolution? And what's missing from the typical undergraduate law school curriculum?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Okay, with respect to the specific skills I'm generally pursuing, firstly, I'll start with substantive ADR. But before we must first have the principle of law. So I want to be grounded in ADR laws and rules because as a student, you have the ample opportunity of knowing the substantive law and the substantive laws, knowing basic principles of law. So, for instance, as it is, I want to make sure that I am rooted in all international ADR laws. So, firstly, I want to obtain the substantive ADR competence because it is when you have the substantive ability, as the substantive knowledge, the legal knowledge, that you can actually apply them. Now, secondly, I am striving to acquire the practical advocacy experience. Okay, with respect to how, as 400 level students now, okay, we don't actually have practice of what we are being taught here in school. For instance, in when we are taught law of arbitration, mediation, we don't actually practicalize it. Okay, we show sample, we are not shown how this is actually done. We are just told that as it is in use. So what I'm actually working towards is getting knowledge in mediation, how arbitration works, how drafting is in arbitration, how you make draftings, and everything that pertains to practice in ADR. So in ADR generally, again, I'm working towards having this digital and commercial literacy because the world as it is now in this 21st century has gone deeper and you can't do anything. Majority of the things you do now, you see them online. So I want to make sure that I have these software skills because as we see later on, in the next few years to come, the world will go in 90%, almost in 90% digital because you go from the comfort of your offices, you have currently you have webinars, you have conferences. So I'm trying my best so that I'm working in law and everything to having a digital system. Now, with respect to what is missing in our curriculum, now, like I said earlier, we don't actually practice what we are being taught as it is contained in the letters of the law. Okay, you are being told that once innovation, there's something called person. We don't actually, the lecturer don't call up students, okay, practice into practicals. So what is that actually is having to practice what you are doing. So if the school curriculum is amended to reflect the practical aspect of even from the basic practicals, now it will go a long way in helping future ADR practitioners as we will be taken by surprise when we come into full practice. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Anna Chupo. It was very insightful. Thank you so much. Miss Efosa, please, my next question is to you. Technology is, can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, so technology is reshaping dispute resolution through ODR platforms and AI-assisted legal research. As a firm leader, what technological competency do you now expect from young lawyers, and how do you personally stay relevant as the profession evolves?
Okay, so the question is, have I accepted it? Have I accepted to the use of AI tools? I would shamelessly confess that when the introduction of AI came up initially, I was one of those who was a bit resistant to the use of those tools because I couldn't really rely on the correctness of the tools. But with time, and I think with most of the models evolving and improving, you can actually see that it could aid work efficiency to a large extent. However, um, to your question, I would say that one of those things that I look out for in young practitioners when they come in with when they are using these tools is the fact that they first are able to apply their legal knowledge, because we can't pretend that there's a lot of hallucinations that come in with the use of this tool. As much as, yes, you can see the promptness some of these tools give to responses, the guide it provides, the sometimes even from the last session, one of the speakers even says it points you out to some areas that you may not have averted your mind to. But at the same time, the question is, that young practitioner using that tool, how much of that subject matter does the person know? So those are the kind of things I look out for. I've been a victim of sending a young lawyer in your office to do some research, and at the end of the day, they come back with fantastically cited cases that relates to your subject matter. But because, well, I won't call myself a perfectionist, but because I'm one who would always like to pay attention to detail, I just said, oh, nice job. I said, okay, come and take me around, because I also love to learn. Come take me around the full citation, because I can see that these cases were not fully cited. Come take me to the full citation. Let's check it together. Let me be sure they are not just obitas. And to my greatest surprise, they did not exist. So that was my first shocker, that I shouldn't take some of these things for granted. And even sometimes trying to do some presentation, you don't even have time to do all of your work. And you're putting in some prompts and you get responses out, and you're seeing laws that are obsolete. If you are not aware that those laws are obsolete, you make a mess of yourself. So that's little thing I would always look out for in a young practitioner using these tools is how well have they been able to manage the use of this tool? How well have they averted themselves to even having the basic knowledge of whatever subject matter is thrown at them? So you should use, I want to see that young practitioner who uses AI as more as a support tool than delegating your thinking to that tool. And I think you asked me a second question in Anora. There was a second question to this question you put up.
Yes, the second question is, and how do you personally stay relevant as the profession evolves?
So how would I stay relevant in these areas? I'm always open to learning. I'm not shy to learn. I do not also believe, I have conversations a lot. So I do not believe that I know it all or I'm there yet. Whether the person is younger, whether the person is older, I'm always very open. I get involved with a lot of training. I also when I see webinars, I also, get involved, particularly if there are subjects areas that you know that you want to develop yourself in. So I do not think that there is anyone who should shy away from learning, and that is one thing that I do. I was speaking, there was this arbitration launch we had some time back, and I was speaking to the learning silk, Mrs. Funke Adekoya. I told her that she was someone, even with the way her name is mentioned in several different areas, you would want to think that you would not see her at a webinar or in a training room, but you would always see her, even if she's not facilitating You would see her as maybe a participant, and you would see her ask questions. So even with that, as you're looking up to people who are older than you, you're also telling yourself certain questions and telling yourself certain truths. If this person who is well celebrated can always put herself as a student, why would you think that you're too big to learn? So with that mindset, that's how I have gravitated through my journey, and that's how I have stayed, I would say stay relevant if I'm to answer your question. So it's learning, learning, learning. I'm not very carried away with the post initials. I'm not one who would say, oh, I want to do this course because I think people would celebrate me. Most times it comes in out of the need to want to know more in that subject area.
Thank you so much, Ma. So our audience, Ms. Efosa has said that you shouldn't allow AI to be your brain. Rather, it should only support your data and your thinking. And do not shy away from learning. Do not shy away from being involved in trainings, no matter how far you get in your profession. And that is how you continue to stay relevant. So my next question is to Miss Jolade. Ma, as someone who became a partner relatively early in your career, what interpersonal, leadership, and professional skills were most instrumental in your growth? And how have they helped you balance ADR practice with traditional legal services?
Thank you very much. I would say okay, apart from like Mr. Foster said earlier, your skills, the art skills that you need to know the laws, know where to find the laws and everything. Those ones are something that you cannot negotiate with. You need to have something in your head. Because honestly, if there's nothing in the head, there's no how your soft skills can come in. So talking about the skills now, I would say there's one mindset I usually have in all areas of my life. So it also encompasses my personal life. It is the problem-solving mindset. So every time I have a case or there's a situation, I just always think of how I can prefer a solution. There's some situations where, especially in ADR, like in practice, that is not, you might not get the entire solution that you need, but there's some aspects of that situation that you can just be able to solve. So with that mindset, I always want to have something like this. Let's look at this, even no matter how little, to prefer a solution in whatever situation I find myself. So that's something that really pushes me in all that I do. And you know, I'm talking about leadership skills. I would still say myself, I'm still quite a follower because I still have leaders that I also look up towards and look up to. So, but still talking about leadership skills, it's also I also make use of this providing solutions. Like I don't know why, it's just something I always I'm very particular about. I'm keen about preferring solutions. And I would say that's been really instrumental in my growth. Because, when I was talking about networking and volunteering the other time, it was because I know that there's always something I can offer. So by the time I offer these things, I know that it keeps also helping me. And it's also something that I always think about, because I remember when I was doing our externship, it called the former CJ of Oyo State then. He was asking everybody, why do you want to become a lawyer? Why don't you become this? Some of us are saying lots of things. Maybe I saw this person that I loved, I looked in a wig and gown and all. But after everything we said, he made a statement that we should see the practice, being a lawyer, as a gateway to enter any way in life. It's as if it's a ticket to enter any gate. So that also keeps pushing and also encourages to say, okay, in my growth, if I see a gate, and gates now, there are opportunities. There is an opportunity that comes and I look at it. I don't say no. I don't say no when an opportunity comes. I'll just always look for a way that, okay, I can't handle this 100%, but I can still give my 10%. And giving that 10%, I'm also learning, and my percentage keeps growing in all that I do. So, and then talking about ADR practice and traditional legal practice, for me, in a way, they come hand in hand, in the sense that litigation is mostly you file in court, you go to court. By the end of the day, you're still trying to solve a problem. ADR too is also the same way, albeit not as adversarial as the traditional litigation. But because you're still trying to look for a way to prefer solutions to persons, or to, let's say, to clients now. So having that problem-solving mindset it just is going to help in a long way. And also for when you're even trying to network or trying to get to have mentors, you can't just say this person is my mentor, and then you don't look for a way to probably help. Let me use the word help that mentor, because as you're helping the mentor, you're also learning. I remember Professor Midonige SN said something recently that when he works, he's someone that can be at maybe up around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sending messages or emails to people, and probably is expecting and he expects to get a response as soon as possible. So imagine he having you are a mentor. Let me say I'm his mentee, and then he has sent me a message around, let me say around at 2 a.m. and I'm not responding until about 2 p.m. the following day. I am not helping him in any way. In fact, someone like that, if it happened the first time, second time, the third time, we all human beings, is definitely going to be tired of me because this person is not ready. And that is why I said, preferring solutions, looking for a way to help, no matter how hard, let me use the word hard, uncomfortable it might be. Because sometimes when things are hard, human nature, there's a way you keep struggling. But just look for the little ways that you can prefer these solutions. So, like I said, I know I've been arming on that problem-solving mindset, but it's something that has really, really helped me. And I think if, as young ones, as you keep growing, if it's something that we can keep having in our minds to help, actually, the senior colleagues that we look up to, also that way, we're also going to be helping ourselves. So that's that.
Thank you so much, Ma. So to the audience, please keep in mind that you must always have a problem-solving mindset and be ready to help no matter how uncomfortable it might be for you. So to our next question, to Mr. Anayochuko, this session emphasizes future proofing. From a student's vantage point, what do you think the ADR profession will look like in 10 years? And what should young people like yourself be doing today to remain relevant in that future?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Okay, from a student's perspective, this is what ADR, the ADR profession, will look like in the next 10 years. Firstly, we'll have the ODR, which is the online dispute resolution. Majority of the ADR hearings will be held virtually. So it is more like a situation wherein in the next 10 years, majority of ADR activities will be virtual as we are gradually progressing from today. So the second perspective from how ADR will look like in the next 10 years from a student's perspective is the use of artificial intelligence as a very helpful tool. Now, some people view artificial intelligence as some kind of tool that has come to take away jobs and all of that, but that's not actually the case. In the next 10 years, from a student perspective, artificial intelligence will help in transforming legal research. Now, to help the ADR practitioners in making sure that in helping them review documents, it will help them in case management, in contractual analysis. It is more like a tool it is a helpful tool rather than a destructive tool. So in the next 10 years, artificial intelligence will revolutionize the ADR profession. Now, also, thirdly, in the next 10 years, we'll have technology-driven commercial disputes. Now we have commercial disputes more like we have problems emanating from the oil and gas sector, from the aviation sector. But in the next 10 years, disputes such as cryptocurrency will come in a much more larger scale. Blockchain transactions, we have digital assets, data protection, all these things, all these particular disputes will come up in the next 10 years. We'll more like have situations of them because they recently enacted a Cyber Crimes Act in Nigeria. We also have situations wherein disputes will also arise. So in the next 10 years, disputes will arise from technological issues. Now, with respect to your other question, which is steps a young person just like myself should take in order to remain relevant. Okay, the first step I would recommend is actually to be a member of professional organizations, just like this particular organization, wherein you have mentors, where you have persons who will mentor you. Because if you want to remain relevant, you must actually be able to meet someone who is already relevant in the profession. Now, the second one is pursuing skills that are technologically, for instance, having skills being both having virtual meetings like that. Now, the third one is developing the substantive ADR awareness, because it's only when you know that you can give out, you must be well rooted in the laws and principles governing arbitration for it to be relevant. Because persons who want to have a particular practitioner who doesn't know what the current position of the law is. So to remain relevant, you also attend conferences, and you follow international developments concerning the ADR profession. Because once you attend conferences, you begin to hear emerging sets of, would I say, disputes or emerging principles. Because it's when professionals meet during conferences, they share ideas where you can also learn. And by that, it will enable you remain relevant. Now, again, it is also necessary to learn particular languages. For instance, you can also learn French language because this is more like an international language that is acceptable. So I will also, to remain relevant, it's also important for students like myself to learn languages. We have apps like Duolingo where you can learn, because I'm aspiring to learn at least 3 international languages that will help. So this is my particular response to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anayochuko. Our next question is to Ms. Efusa. Ma, as a managing partner, what is the biggest mistake young ADR practitioners make when building their careers? And what level of commercial awareness do you expect from them?
Okay, thank you for that question. One of the biggest mistakes I see with young ADR practitioners has even been highlighted a bit by Ms. Jolade, and that is always waiting for handouts, always waiting. You just want to, you don't want to walk the walk. You think that some things will just happen automatically without putting in some efforts. Yes, there are some people that are naturally blessed. Just the way we look at our 5 fingers, we are not all the same. But there are some principles that would always work, whether we like it or not. People are endeared to when you offer to help. People are endeared to when they see the genuineness of you wanting to help. With the genuineness of wanting to help, you build trust. So you're networking within a professional body, and you're just expecting that from the day you join Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, your young members group, you should be getting an appointment as an arbitrator. Some people have such high expectations, but you forget that first, there's a lot of competition out there. So many people are scrambling for the little that you have. You may not necessarily get your appointment from being within that space, but you may get your appointment for people seeing you do that work. My first appointment as an arbitrator did not come from Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. Sorry, it came from, when I was chair of YMG, attending some of these events, then you post it online and you talk about it and people see what you're doing. And one of these days, a lawyer walks up to me, sends me a notice of arbitration to say, oh, please, I'm looking for a lawyer. Sorry, I'm looking for an arbitrator. And I know you have the qualification. Please, I want to appoint you. I was shocked. The mindset that most of the young professionals have is that because you serve with a professional body, that professional body must give you appointments. It does not necessarily happen so. So what it simply means is that while you are serving, as Jolade has suggested, while serving, you must also network. While networking, you never know where, and your networking should be quite genuine. You never know where that opportunity would come. And sometimes it may not just be within the ADR space. It may be for you as a young practitioner. You come into a firm and you're waiting, instead of you're outsourcing your thinking. Instead of you to treat maybe your knowledge of ADR as stop treating it maybe more like a purely legal exercise. Treat it more like you want to provide a solution. So you find out that most of the young practitioners, you come into a firm and rather than you apply yourself, rather than you make suggestions, bring in your sense of judgment as someone who at least has gone through the four walls of university and law school, you're waiting to be told what to do. If you're not a solution provider, if you're not innovative in your thinking, it could put some people off. Even with our little exercise or practice, you would see that happen sometimes around you. You and maybe your contemporary work in a place, but you find that there's always that one person everybody goes to find solution because the person has a creative mind and creative way of thinking. So I would say that that's one of the biggest mistakes that young practitioners make. We should stop thinking that focusing our mindset or being entitled or focusing our mindset in a certain area rather than you having a broader mindset that help could come from anywhere, opportunities can come from anywhere. It must not necessarily be fixated on that organization we are volunteering. And then in the area of commercialization, you said what level of commercial awareness do I expect from them? It's simple. Commercial awareness could there are certain basic things that every practitioner must bear in mind. As basic as it may be, it's non-negotiable. And that is thinking of the clients instead of being too legalistic. What do you think the client wants? So in drawing up your strategy or your map on how you want to provide solution when you've just gotten a brief, you need to first think of the client as well. As much as you're trying to put in place what the law provides or what the principles of law holds, you need to have the mindset of what does the client want? Does the client want their money in a snap of a finger? Does the client just basically what the client expects? So at that point in time, you are not fixated too much on legalese. You're as much as you would not want to go outside what the law provides, you are also conscious of good strategy that would help the client commercially. So, and these things could play out. It could be as simple as even drafting a dispute resolution clause. Because you have gone into an ADR training, from a dispute resolution, if you do a proper assessment of that contract or that brief, you'll find out that the disputes that may arise has no business, maybe with arbitration. But you put an arbitration clause. Then maybe for some people that like abroad or the abroad, they include, oh, the venue must be Paris. And you've not looked at the parties involved to ask whether they've even stepped out of Lagos or Jolade's constituency, Ibadan. So how do you want them to, resolve that dispute at the end of the day? So you need to be commercially conscious while you are doing some of those things. So those are the things that I would always speak to young practitioners about in averting their mind, either from the area of that commercial space and also as practitioners working in a firm. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. That was very insightful. Our next question goes to Mrs. Jolade Falade. Ma, for young women entering the ADR field in Nigeria, what unique challenges and opportunities should they anticipate? And how do you see the relationship between ADR and traditional legal practice evolving in ways that may shape their careers?
Okay, thank you. So let me, for the first part of the question, you talked about challenges and opportunities. I would say there are opportunities that are open, but like I said earlier, and just as Mr. Fusa also said, if you don't know how to make use of those opportunities, you already know that there are going to be challenges. So, but now I'm going to emphasize on the challenge, and I'm going to talk about just one. And I would say for young women in about to go into ADR practice or any form of practice in professional area, I would say the challenge is you. And why did I say that? The challenge is you because it depends on the kind of mindset that you're bringing forward. You mentioned women now. That's what I'm focusing on women because you said young women. So we're talking about now. Mr. Fosa is here. She was one time YMG chair. She's female. The current chairperson of the YMG is female. The current chairperson of the CIAB is female. So when I say the challenge is you, I said it's because of the mindset that you're bringing in. I'm one person that I do not like this discourse of women are victims or give this to this person because she's female. I do not support it, and I have lots of should I say enemies because of that. But that is the truth. Well, if you do not have the capability or the capacity to do something, you should not expect it to come to you because you are female. So that means you need to work for everything that you want to get. There's not going to be, yes, some people are lucky to get handouts, just like Mr. Professor also said earlier. But I would say 90% of the population do not get handouts. You need to work for what you get. So as I said, the challenge is you. What kind of mindset are you coming from? Are you willing to challenge yourself so that when you get these opportunities that are available, you'll be able to make use of them appropriately? So while thinking of that challenge, that is when you have to develop a strategy. So you need a strategy that is, okay, I have identified the area that I want to go to. And when I mean area, I would also support what Mr. Fosa said earlier, that as you come out in practice, except those who are already sure of the line they want to toe. But if you are not yet sure of the line you want to toe in this professional life, try and get a bit of everything. For instance, if you get opportunity to do litigation for a while, it's going to build your advocacy skills. You're going to need advocacy skills in ADR, in every aspect of ADR. You need advocacy skills. You need the ability to be able to reframe questions, and that is what you get during course examinations and examination in chiefs. So you need to be able to have to get those skills. So when you are looking at a strategy, I will point out 3 strategies that I would think you need to have. You need to be prepared. So that when you get the opportunities, you know how to handle them. You need to be present. It's a different thing if you're prepared, but you're not present. You need to be present to be able to undo any opportunity that comes your way. You can't get an opportunity as someone that is just starting in ADL practice and you're trying to delegate it to somebody else. You are building that person's presence, not yours. So you need to be prepared, you need to be present, and then you need to be patient. Patience, they say, is a virtue, and honestly, it is. Because if you're not patient enough, the preparation you've made might go to waste. The presence that you have, it might go somewhere else because it is lack of patience that I would say, unfortunately, leads most into corruption And it has already been said that there's corruption in almost every aspect of life. So it is when you're not patient enough, you just want to have this, just have that, like they say, you want to have it quickly. This get it quick syndrome. You need to let it die down. So I've said you need to be prepared, you need to be present, and then you need to be patient. And also, now going to the second part of the question, I see ADR and traditional litigation converging, because your expertise, your experience in one area is going to help in the other. I thought about litigation. I started with litigation. So I think litigation helped me. If I tell you that I was someone growing up, I was someone that I can't stand in front of two people to talk, not talk of a crowd. I remember when I told most people that I'm going to study law, most people were shocked and said, "Are you sure you can do this?" Because I was somebody that there was no way I could just do it. But once going into litigation, it helped me to be able to stand in front of a crowd and say what I want to say. And it's not just saying something, it's saying something of substance. So, you can't go in front of a judge and just say, probably you've not read your file. You're not even prepared, and then you're just standing, you don't have anything to say. That is going to just be very difficult. So, like I said, litigation helps me in my advocacy. And also looking at ADR. In ADR, there are different aspects of ADR. So let's look at mediation, for instance. In mediation, the purpose of a mediator, one of the purposes of mediator is to help the parties to come to a solution amongst themselves. So, for instance, now, if I get a brief, probably the matter is already in court, and I see that there's actually an avenue whereby this matter does not need to go spend years or less with effort in court. You can actually go to ADR. So that ADR practice will enable me to be able to know that, okay, let us leave litigation and come to ADR. But I will be able to know that only because I have that little practice of ADR in me. So I would say that ADR and traditional litigation, they come in together. They work, let me say, they are converging, even moving forward, they're converging. We have ADR centers in courts now. We have multi-door rooms, we have multi-door courthouses, whereby even judges will look at the file and say, why is this matter in court? Why not try ADR center first? So that's the way that they are both converging. So your practice, your expertise, your experience in one would lead you to the other. And not just talking about ADR or litigation now, just now. Also other areas of professional life. Because as a professional, there are so many other things that you can also do. I'm sure if you read Mr. Fosa's bio again, you will see lots of things that she's doing. So it also helps you to, just like she said, know which ones, try and get a bit of everything first. So by the time you get it and you try to get experience in them, you'll also be able to know what other way to go. So that's that.
Thank you so much, Ma. We have one last question for our panelists, and then we'll start with the Q&A. So please, participants, start dropping your questions. So we'll take them immediately after he's done answering the questions. So, Mr. Anayochuko, the final question goes to you. Many young practitioners struggle with the transition from academic knowledge to real-world practice. What practical steps would you recommend to students who want to start building their ADR credentials before graduation?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. The recommended practical steps that students who want to practice, who want to be ADR practitioners, they recommend the credentials they should have before graduation. The step they should take: firstly, having a strong academic foundation. You understand that ADR majorly comes up commercial disputes, because you must first of all be grounded in the law of contracts. You must first of all know the principles in law of contracts before you can talk about helping them resolve their disputes. So, for instance, let's take for instance, you must understand the law, you must understand AG law, you must be rooted first of all. Socially, you must have the relation. The first step. Now, the second step is for the student to join ADR society. Most universities have ADR societies or clubs. So if who wants to venture into ADR and build the necessary should be a member of the ADR society, wherein address them, who give them and give the necessary suggested tools. So the second step is join the society. Now, in AR competitions. This is very important. Once a student participates in ADR competitions, you see that you research on, let's say, principles that are new to you. And once you research and you read and you come up with, you come up with articles that will help you in competitions, you see that you end up helping yourself, and the chances of that credential is on the high side. Now he's or pursuing professional certifications and courses. For instance, you see courses on ADR, whereby there are ADR courses. Some students overlook such courses and certifications because they say, "Oh, I am still a student." But it is as you're a student now that you have a bit of time to get those certifications that students are allowed to have at this particular level. So once you take courses from reputable institutions, it goes to add to a student, and it helps in building credentials. Now, again, for a student to build, another step is taking up relevant internships. For instance, in firms known for being successful in alternative dispute resolution. You can also have them virtually because the world has gone digital. So for you, for the practical step, this is one of the practical steps to help the students build credentials before graduation, because upon graduation, you see that those principles have become more like basic to you. You are abreast with them. So it's not like it is something that is entirely new for you that you begin to want to adapt because you already know them. Now, the last one is engaging in intentional networking. Now, networking is you try to have like minds. You connect with like minds. Persons who you look up to. You go on LinkedIn, you see a professionals. You just connect with them. You see the posts they have. You see opportunities they share. Because one thing I've discovered is that professionals who are, okay, let's say the ADR professionals, they actually love to see young students, young persons coming up after them. So most of them want to train students. Most of them want to have people that they train up in order to help in the revolutionization of the ADR space and ADR community. So these are the practical steps that I actually recommend for a student like myself. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Anayochukwu. We have come to the end of this panelist session. Thank you to every one of our panelists, Ms. Efusa, Mrs. Jolade, and Mr. Anayochukwu. I know that I myself and the participants have really gained a lot. So please, we're going to start with the Q&A. If you haven't dropped your questions, please do so now. We don't know the next time you get this good of a panelist session. So please, if you have any questions, please do so now. I'll start taking the first question. The first question is, where can we sign up? I think this is referring to Mrs. Jolade. Where can we sign up for these volunteering roles? Are these usually published on their social media platforms?
Yes, I would say there are some that are posted on social media platforms, so you can follow the SIAB on LinkedIn and all other social media platforms. Also, you can also start to volunteer by reaching out to persons that you know can serve as your mentors in your professional journey. So, you go for conferences or you attend a webinar. Sometimes the contact, you can ask, okay, can I have your contact? Just try to reach out. So once you just try to leave that comfort zone of, oh, I'm too shy, I don't want to do this, just come out. So social media platforms, on webinars, conferences, reach out, network. You can also check these persons on LinkedIn, check their profile, send them messages. So this way, these are the ways that you can actually volunteer. So if you see any opportunity that like a conference is coming up, you can ask as students, how can we attend the conference? How can we be of help in planning and things like that? That is how volunteering starts. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, man. Our next question is, please, in this webinar, problem-solving skills have been emphasized. How can this skill be gotten and developed? I think anyone can take the question.
Okay, let me answer that. I don't know if my fellow panelists have something to add. Developing that skill, it's sometimes for some people it comes innate. They are naturally, maybe because of their exposure, and with this conversation, I'm being very frank because I have studied people around me to understand that, yes, some people are natural problem solvers, either because of the way they grew up. They must have maybe been surrounded by certain people who are very knowledgeable. So you consciously, unconsciously develop those skills. Now, for those who do not think they have found themselves in that space, the best thing to keep doing is quest for knowledge. There is no way you will develop your quest for knowledge that you would not find out that you are a solution provider. Now, when you have an opportunity to develop yourself technically in several areas, it's easy to strategize or develop what I would call a SWOT analysis for any brief or any problem that comes to you. So what do? You are given a brief and you've been exposed enough in that area or even in other areas. By default, you're almost able to provide the strategy to say, oh, please, and maybe the client is even insisting, oh, I want to go to litigation. Now you can easily say, oh no, please don't do litigation. This may be the outcome of what you want to do, and it may not help you maybe commercially. It may also be, oh, I want to do, I have a dispute maybe with something that is not even arbitrable, for example, and the person has an arbitration clause, and you're saying, oh no, I think I've attended one webinar or I've been in a training room where this was discussed that so and so things are not arbitrable. So those are the only ways that I think you can actually develop those skills. If you don't have, they say my people perish for lack of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, how do you provide solutions? So you must train yourself to always seek knowledge. And with time, you'll be shocked as to the magnitude of what you know. It's most times is when you actually put to that test, you know that you know a lot. You may just think you don't know enough.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Efusa. I think you've answered that question very well, but does anyone else on the panelists want to add anything? Okay, I don't think so. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you, everyone, for giving us your time. Thank you to the participants. Ma, please, we implore that everyone please turn on their cameras so we can take a screenshot of all of us, the panelists, the moderator, and the session coordinator. I think I'll hand over to Miss Mercy to arrange that.